Hi everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to pull in Eventbrite check-ins into Klaviyo. Now you might be wondering, but Eventbrite already has an integration with Klaviyo, and you're right, you can set it up in the integrations menu from Klaviyo and it pulls in these 5 metrics. But the frustrating part about it is that although when you look at the bought ticket metric in more detail, it shows you details about that event, for example, how much the ticket was bought for and the event name, the check-in doesn't show you that level of detail. It's just a simple metric that shows that it happened at a certain time, but we don't know any additional details about it. And that becomes limiting if you want to create a segment based on people who have attended a specific event. So in order to do this, I'm going to use an app called Zapier. It's basically a platform for connecting different other platforms. It's called an integration tool. And here's what we're going to be setting up today. It's just a simple 2-step process. The trigger is that when a new attendee checks in an Eventbrite, what we want to do is that we want to create an event in Klaviyo. And remember that an event in Klaviyo is a metric. So just like when somebody buys a ticket or checks in and it gets logged on the Klaviyo customer profile, that's what we're going to be doing. But instead of doing it through the direct integration with Eventbrite, we're going to be doing it ourselves DIY through Zapier. So let's go ahead and set this up. Okay, so here I am on the Zapier home screen. I'm going to make a new Zap. And I'm going to use Eventbrite as my trigger. And the trigger event I'm choosing is a new attendee check-in. I'm going to choose the account. I've already used this before, so I just have to click the one I've already joined before. If this is your first time using Eventbrite with Zapier, you'll need to authenticate your own account. I'm just going to choose the basic organization, and I'm going to leave this as its default. And I'm not going to choose any specific event here. I want to see check-ins across all Eventbrite events. Now the next step, which is recommended, is to use some test data. So Zapier is going to look at Eventbrite for any recent triggers of that type, and it's going to pull in all the data it gets from Eventbrite. So we can see there's all sorts of fields and information that are pulled across. You can see this is me. I checked into an event. Now we're going to turn that into a Klaviyo metric. So I'm going to press continue. The trigger is now set up. Now we're going to set up the action, which is the second part. I'm going to choose Klaviyo and I'm going to choose create event. I'm going to choose my Klaviyo account. Again, you'll have to authenticate if you haven't done so already. Now for metric, I've already created this metric before. So now if you've already got a metric in place, you can just choose it from this drop down. However, if it's your first time creating the metric, you can select custom and then just enter the name of your metric. So you might want to call it something like Eventbrite check-in detailed. So next we require an email address, and that is pulled in from Eventbrite. So we can just click there and you'll see these options populate. So I want the profile email to go in there, so just click it. The event ID is less important, I find, but there's no extra cost to putting more information in, so the more information the better I usually find. I'm going to put in the event ID there. And then for the value, this is typically a purchase value, so it doesn't apply to all metrics, but in this case the ticket did have a value. So let's put this one. Now here is where we do the exciting stuff, because if we just set it up like this, we're still not doing much more than Klaviyo is already doing. But where it gets exciting is with custom event properties. So we can create as many of these as we like. So specifically in this case, because we want to know the event name so that we can segment on it in Klaviyo, I'm going to put in Eventbrite event name. And then here, I'm just going to pull that directly in from the trigger data. So I'm going to look for more options, and here we go, event name text. This is the event I created to try this out, so I'm going to pop that in there. Feel free to add any other custom event properties you want. Again, it won't increase the cost to add as much of these as you need. So have a think about, from all of this data that's pulled in from Eventbrite, is there anything that could be useful to segment on or target customers on later? Okay, so I'll just get back to that window. Here we are, the setup action. That looks good to me. So I'm going to click continue. Another great part of Zapier is you can test out and make sure that your Zap is doing what you want it to. So here in the test action, I'm going to test and review. And this is great. It gave me a green box, the status is a success. And now if I go back to my profile in Klaviyo, I should see that metric come in. So here we go, just now I checked in. Eventbrite check-in detailed, there's the value of the ticket, it was a free ticket, and there's the Eventbrite name. So fantastic. The test run of the Zap was successful, it's now pulling data across. I'm going to close, and when I'm ready to turn it on, I'm going to turn my Zap on. So that's all good to go. And now you'll see that when I go and create a segment in Klaviyo, if I look at what someone has done or not done, just to show you a comparison, check the check-in from Eventbrite, which has the logo. So that's the one that is from the built-in integration. I can't filter based on the name of the event. But if I go and look in the new one I just created, Eventbrite check-in detailed, and I click that, I can now filter on the event name and see the options there. So now we can send emails or put people into flows who have attended specific events. So I hope that makes sense and helps. I create content that's all about capturing user engagement into email marketing apps, so please feel free to like and subscribe.